Hello, I'm doing a live podcast. Pretty much going to be talking about Trump and what he said at the UN this week, which was actually pretty painful. I was trying to watch it and pause it and write stuff down as he was letting all that stuff come out of his face, but that was actually too painful to do, so after a while I just let it play through because, yeah, well, the first thing he did when he got up on that stage was he went after the teleprompter and the escalator, which, I mean, shit happens. Get over it. He tried saying that the last time he was in office, the world was at peace, and that was not true, and is not true. There were several things he did back then and things he's doing now that no. He said he'd established peace on 2 continents when he held office, and they went back to fighting. Well, they didn't go back to fighting. They never stopped fighting. So he can take credit for something that didn't happen. And then claiming the Biden administration was lawless. He seems to forget that when he has come into office with his administration, And he says it was a good economy when he started. He inherited the economy from Obama first and then Biden. And Biden spent a good portion of his presidency cleaning up what Trump did the first time. So, and as he was talking about that, I happen to remember a video bite from when he was about to leave because he did not get reelected, that he was going to leave he was going to trash out the economy and everything else as much as he could to make it a lot harder for Biden to put everything back together. And for most of Biden's presidency, that's pretty much what happened. He was fixing what Trump had left behind. And a lot of people are giving Trump credit for that Operation Warp Speed stuff. The only bad part about that is that he took that out of the Obama playbook, because in an interview with Obama around the same time that the pandemic had started, Obama had said that him and his administration had set up a playbook for everything that was taking place with COVID. Because it had been known to leaders that something was going on and people were starting to get sick, not as many at first, but all the countries were writing playbooks as to how to take care of it. And because Trump got rid of that in the first administration, first time he ran for office, if you remember, he came on and he admitted that he got rid of the stuff that Obama and Dr. Fauci had set up to keep the pandemic from getting out of hand. They had stuff set up for when people came to U.S. shores to make it to where it wouldn't get as big as it did. But because Trump didn't believe fat meat greasy, shit happened. That's what happens when you ignore people that actually have an education higher than yourself, and you throw everything out the window because you don't believe nothing. Except for conspiracy theories and people that claim to have worms in their brains. Yeah, that was a crack at RFK Jr. He claims that in 8 months he made the best country, the strongest economy, strongest borders, strongest military, strongest friendships with other world leaders, and strongest spirit of any nation. And after he said that, I actually went and looked all that stuff up, and no, he has not created a strong economy at all. He has not created strong borders. The only thing he's created is fear. Because he wants to get rid of immigrants. The only sad part about it is if anybody's been watching or paying attention, he's an immigrant too. He's only been here for one full generation. And his dad wasn't even born here. So, as far as I know, those are called anchor babies or some shit like that. So, he might as well go arrest himself and throw himself into one of them other countries because he's one of them. And no, we don't have the strongest military. We have people trying to either leave the military because of what he's doing or not joining at all. They've actually talked about it and they have said that people voluntarily joining the military has had a sharp decline. I think they said of about pretty close to 50%. And then you have the veterans that are against Trump, and those are getting more and more because he's treating them like shit. I mean, hell, you guys have seen it. Instead of using the military for what they're supposed to be used for, he's using them as street police, helping to clean up trash and all the rest of that. I mean, they weren't trained for that, as far as I know. I've never been into going into the military, but I have heard a lot of stories from quite a few people because, yeah, I go to church, and most of the people that are part of our staff are ex-military. So, yeah, I've heard some stories. And how can he claim to have the strongest friendships when he has invited other world leaders to the White House, and when he has had them in that room with him with news cameras pointing directly into his face, he has tore them down and they have gotten into debates, arguments, whatever you want to call it. That's not building a strong friendship. And especially the way he talked to those nations in the UN, you honestly think he's built any friendships off that bullshit he spew out of his mouth with that thing? If anything, he made an entire embarrassment off the U.S. just that much more solidly globally. And the only reason he even keeps talking about the UN as far as liking it or whatever, he likes nations that have people that look the same as him, white people. So if you're not white, you're not part of what he's thinking of. It don't matter what other color you are. If you're not white, you're not part of what's going on up here in that brain thing he calls a brain. Even his mom tried telling everybody he wouldn't be a very good leader. He shouldn't be put in the White House, but yet half you guys threw him in there any damn way, which is beyond me. And the spirit of any nation, the strongest spirit of any nation, at this moment, that's not true. That is far from true. He has been, the way he's been doing stuff, no. He said something about a calamity with Biden and Obama. And even though I didn't write down anything to go with that, I don't know what calamity he's talking about, but according to everything I've been watching and reading, he's the biggest calamity in the United States, even before he became president, the first and the second time. He tried saying that energy prices are down, gas prices are down, grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, inflation has ended or whatever. None of that's true. No, none of it's true. It's either the same or it's higher. And him saying the stuff he did about the stock market, since he got into office, the stock market hasn't been doing that good. It still goes up and down every single day. But there's a lot of times where it's down a whole lot more than it's up because he keeps going back and forth on these tariffs. So when he goes back and forth on these tariffs, yeah, things are going to go way up and then they're going to go way down. Then he said something about workers' wages are rising. That was happening before he got into office because Biden signed a bill when he was president talking about increasing people's wages. Now, it may not have been as much as everybody was expecting, but that's not Trump's doing. That's Biden's doing. Because watching different newscasts and stuff like that about him, he's actually looked down on wages being increased. There's actually been people that have had hidden cameras in their pockets recording his conversations, and he actually told Elon Musk in one of those that, or somebody, I believe it was Elon Musk, it could have been somebody else, but it was another billionaire that he had said something about, instead of raising the wages, just let the workers go and hire other ones. So as far as wage increases go, since he's been in office, that was not his doing. That was Biden. And when he was president last time, wages didn't go up, especially towards the end of his presidency, because he was too busy golfing. And who in the hell do you think pays for it every time he goes to golf or anything else? He's in the White House. He gets a paycheck. He doesn't have to work for it. He claims that he ended 7 wars in 7 months. He said something about the countries that he helped, and one of them is they're two different countries and they don't even share the same border. They're like damn near almost a full entire continent away from each other, if not two. And one of them ain't even spelled right, so nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about. Those countries were Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and whatever the heck that country's name is. That's the one that he was like badly mistaken on. But that was pretty much where I stopped taking notes, because I had only got into like 10 minutes of his speech and I kept pausing it to write shit down, and I got so tired of pausing it and then having to unpause it just to listen to his voice again, so I said fuck it. I just let it keep running so I could hurry up. But the two things he said were the biggest mistakes were immigration worldwide and green energy. And green energy is just saving the planet. Because it's getting warmer. I mean, hell, y'all have seen the news about those states that one day it was broadcast that 3 or 4 or 5 states were about 120 degrees or close to it. That's not a lie. This last summer, we weren't being fried to death, we were being drowned. Because if the sun wasn't baking you, the water was drowning you. Because there were floods all over the place too. And then we had tornadoes and twisters, so they were tearing shit up. He tried saying that our country was respected, more respected than any other time in history. We're not respected right now. We're being laughed at. Just like we were being laughed at the last time he was president. We're not being respected. And he said during his campaign that he would end the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It's been half a year and they're still fighting. Even more so now, because Putin is trying to get land. He's trying to take back land, plain and simple. And since he's land craved, or land mad, or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter what the fuck Trump says or does. Putin's going to try to get a hold of more land, period. And he went to London or whatever they pretty much rolled out the red carpet and gave him royal treatment and all the rest of that. And he put them on blast at the UN, saying that they were making a big mistake. And he said a few other things that as they were coming out of his mouth, I was like, really? They rolled out the red carpet for you and treated you like somebody you're not, and you're going to trash talk them? But this is Trump we're talking about. He doesn't act like a regular president. But in my opinion, he's never really been an actual president. Okay, can you explain that statement? Most fortified castle we got. Can you go into a little bit more detail? And thanks for joining. But yeah, I actually watched that thing from when he went over there to go visit them and they pulled out the red carpet. Even though I don't like Trump and I thought it was a mistake that he went over there, the surroundings were great. So I would have thought that he would have been grateful for what did happen. But yeah, I was actually watching that they protested against it. I actually started laughing when they rolled out almost there was a great big old huge green field that they rolled out a picture of Trump and Epstein. I started laughing to that. Yeah. Yeah, the castle looked very nice. It's just sad that Trump had to be inside of it. Yeah, I started laughing when I seen that pic. I'm like, yeah, you trying to throw all kinds of shade, and anybody that's got a brain can see past that. Because the UN, I don't know. I just got through watching it. I started watching it the other day when I think it was 1 or 2 days after it actually aired. And I had school and work and stuff like that, so I couldn't stay on it for very long, but I just got through watching the rest of it tonight before I came on here. And I was screaming at the TV because I can believe that. I probably would do the same thing too. That gives me another reason to go try to visit any golf course that he goes to. Yes, I hope it does too. The only sad part is right now, he is trying to pass a thing to where he can run for a third term or be a king. And we don't want a king. You do have those over here that want a dictator, and they say they would choose to call Trump a king. But I was not born in a country that has a king. I was born in a country that elects its leaders every 4 years. I'm an independent, so I vote for who I think runs the country best. And in my personal opinion, Trump doesn't run anything the best. I mean, most of his stuff he's either gotten taken away from him or he's filed for bankruptcy. So I'm honestly hoping it does get better, but I'm also bracing for the fact that it may not. Yeah, he's actually that's part of what he's doing. He's trying to make it to where no matter what happens, if he's no longer in power, something happens to make it to where either his family stays in power or the person that runs and gets elected, he is a vice president for, and if the person that he is underneath gets shot or killed, that he gets to take over, which makes it to where he is the president again. That's what he's trying to do because he doesn't want to get rid of the power that he's got. And the only reason that he ran for presidency to begin with this time is because it keeps him out of jail, because he got convicted 34 times, even though the people that support him call it a kangaroo court, like what he does, but it's still a court of law and they found him guilty. So for the rest of us that know better, he's still a felon and he shouldn't even be in the White House. But yeah, that's pretty much how things go. I'm going to have to figure out a way to get rid of that light because I have a ring light and I'm not using it. Yeah, but as far as him trying to give it to his son, there's a big debate going on over here or brewing over here that his wife or his wives and his kids are not legal according to his own laws that he's passed. And so they're saying that if he's trying to get rid of illegal aliens, then his wives and their kids need to go too, because they are here illegally and they fall underneath the same laws that he himself passed. And according to one of the, now that I'm thinking about it, one of the world leaders that came to the White House actually brought over a birth certificate to where they showed him that his dad was not even born in the U.S. His dad was born in another country, and his parents came over here from that other country with him. So he is not an actual citizen either. So with all this talk about stuff going on, especially with immigrants, he's one of them. So he's trying to pass a law to where he could be deported too, because they're trying to get rid of green card holders and anchor babies and there's one or two more groups that he's trying to get rid of. And the only problem is that I'm pretty sure it was shown worldwide when they said that ICE went and arrested like 400 or 500 immigrants at a factory. They were actually brought in to help U.S. citizens learn how to operate the machinery in that factory. And instead of letting them finish what they were doing and then letting them go home, ICE went in there and they arrested all of them and sent them back. Not necessarily to their country of origin, just somewhere else besides the U.S. I hope they do. I honestly hope that all the world leaders and the countries that he spoke against in the UN address, I honestly hope they sue him for everything he said, because there's a lot of that shit he shouldn't have said. Because most of us do not agree with the tariffs that he did and still don't agree. He hasn't lowered the cost of anything. He's actually risen it quite a bit. And his attack, me personally, I don't have a problem with open borders. He's talking about people coming over and doing crime and everything. And it's like, dude, most of the people that are committing crimes are people that have been here. They were born here, their parents were born here, so on and so forth. So it doesn't matter where you go. Crime is going to happen because you have bad apples and people who, just somehow flip a wig and do something stupid. To me, the tariffs are just, I think they're stupid, personally. I mean, he keeps talking about China tariffs, but the only sad part is I don't think he pays attention to his own labels, because most of the shit that he sells or tries to sell is from China. And the bad part is according to our laws over here, he's not supposed to be making any money outside of him being president. So he's actually doing illegal stuff. He's been doing illegal stuff, Yeah. The way I see it, he's trying to go against people that don't look like him. He's trying to get rid of the immigrants and anybody that's brown, and then anybody that's black or African American, he's trying to turn them back into slaves. And I think that is like completely wrong, even though him and his administration are denying it. He's always been a racist. If they're not white, he don't want them. Just like when he tried saying white Africans had came over here from Africa, I guess it was Africa, and he tried saying something about that. I'm like, there are worse things going on in Africa than what you're talking about with these white people that came from Africa. There's a whole lot more going on there, but you're not worried about that because the things that are going on in Africa don't concern people that are white. So for him, it doesn't matter. But I have always tried telling people repeatedly that with Trump, unless you are a multi-billionaire and you're white, you're not actually part of Trump's idea of America or anything. Because I actually watched this video the other day about people thinking that they're entitled. And this woman came on and she was talking about how she went to go get her hair and nails done. The only sad thing is that she was using her government assistance check to go do it. And they told her that because she wasn't using the government assistance to what it was supposed to be used for, they were going to cut it. And I'm sitting there like, what do you think it was there for? If you get government assistance, it's to help you until you get something solid that you can use income-wise to help you out. It's not there for permanent. But I've actually seen more videos of people abusing that than actually using it to help them out. So I'm one of the few people that's actually been on assistance and used it in the intent that it was supposed to be used for. But yeah, I had figured that there would be a lot of people talking about that stuff in the UN. And so I figured that this podcast, I would actually use this to talk about the UN thing also, because that was a complete embarrassment. Instead of using the platform to uplift and build, he used it to degrade, monsterize, or whatever that word is, and degrade. And when you're a world leader, you're not supposed to be using that platform to do that. And I think what he did when he was on that stage is completely wrong. Yes. And I think that's one of the biggest things I don't like about him, is the fact that he's always punching down. And before he became president, whenever I was in somebody else's house or near a TV and he happened to come on the TV screen, I would do the best I can to get out, because I've never liked him. And for some odd reason, people think that's strange, and here they call it Trump derangement syndrome. And I'm like, ain't nobody got Trump derangement syndrome, but you don't, because we live in a free country, we don't have to like him. And then I watch Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know if anybody else that does, but I do. And they didn't take him off air for anything that he said about Charlie Kirk, which I didn't even know about until I kept hearing his name on my TV when I was looking at my computer screen doing schoolwork. I kept hearing about it. So I'm like, okay, let me turn around and pay attention for a second. I turned around, and I kid you not, within a 10-second period, I went from not knowing who this person was to turning around and seeing a picture of him on the news broadcast, and then seeing a short, like 4 or 5 second video, I think it was, with the crowd running and him being shot. And then the next image I saw was a picture of him and Trump shaking hands and smiling. And after that, I turned around back to my schoolwork and I said, well, no wonder. And that night when Jimmy Kimmel came on and he said what he said, he didn't say nothing bad about Charlie Kirk. Yeah, Stephen Colbert is funny. I think he is anyway. But Jimmy Kimmel didn't say anything bad about Kirk. He didn't endorse the guy that shot him or nothing like that. He just made a general comment, and because I think he was just joking about Trump and his administration, or he said something in general about it, because Trump put a little bit of pressure on the network that's why they let him go. Or, yeah, let him go. And I was one of the people when they had a thing going around to reinstate Kimmel. I'm one of the people that signed it. But they brought him back, and I've been watching it since he came back. And I also watched all the other late night talk show hosts around the same time to see what they were saying about it. And they were all uniting around it because that was attack on free speech. And in our country, we still have free speech and freedom of expression, freedom of the press, and all that goes into that. And so them caving and taking Jimmy Kimmel off air just because he made a statement about it was unconstitutional in our country. And he was not endorsing the fact that Charlie Kirk got shot. Hell, I wasn't endorsing it. I didn't even know the guy. I didn't have empathy or sympathy, but I simply didn't know the guy. And I don't condone violence. But when I seen what happened and I got to hear more over the week, I'm like, well, it's no wonder. I don't condone it, but it's no wonder what happened. Yeah, I think one of the videos I did see for like 2 seconds after all that happened, he was talking with a woman about abortions and when a fetus is considered alive. And he was arguing with her. And I'm like, how are you going to sit there and argue with a woman that has a uterus and you are a man? It would be a much better argument if it was a one woman to another. But you're a man. You don't have that stuff. And you're sitting there arguing with a woman about that. And I know this may sound bad, but my personal belief, I believe in abortion if it's going to harm the life of the mother or if the fetus is not going to be able to make it outside the mother's body. Like if the fetus is going to die as soon as mom gives birth, or if mom is going to die at any time during the pregnancy and or die during delivery, regardless, then yes, she should be able to get an abortion. My take on the rape and incest is if the woman or girl gets an abortion, then the one that made her the victim, the guy, he should have his nuts chopped off. He'll never be able to do it again. I can guarantee you that. So that's my personal belief. It don't have to be anybody else's. It's just mine. Because I believe that if, yes, incest and rape and all the rest of that, I don't think any of that should happen. I mean, that's kind of sick. You're sitting there screwing your daughter or your son or your cousin, whatever the case might be. You're sitting there thinking that they're cute inside your head or they're worth doing something with. To me, that's kind of sick. And if you're man enough to pull down your pants and rape or molest somebody, if they need to go in and terminate the pregnancy for those reasons, and you made them a victim, then you should be held accountable also, and they should make it a mandate to where if you made a female a victim through rape or incest, then you should go have your nuts chopped off the same exact time that she's getting the pregnancy ended. Plain and simple. That's what I believe, though. That doesn't have to be what anybody else believes or thinks. That's just my personal opinion. That always has been. That's why I live in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, and we had a election coming up about that. And for a minute, I was going to vote against the abortion until I read more. And when I seen that they were talking about going against abortion, even when it involved the life of the mother or the fetus not being able to survive outside the mom, that's when I'm like, yeah, no, that's a no. You should be able to take care of that stuff if it's going to affect the life of the mother, or the fetus is not going to be able to live outside, because you have people that try to get pregnant and they have ectopic pregnancies, or those pregnancies that are inside your tubes that can kill you, especially as the egg gets bigger. It can definitely, you won't survive. Neither will the child. So in those instances where it involves the life of the mother or the life of the fetus, I wholeheartedly agree with the abortion thing, because kid's not here yet, mom's here, kid's not going to make it, mom's not going to make it. But anyway. I don't personally like any kind of wars. I mean, the thing going on between Russia and Ukraine, I don't like that. I don't like terrorist groups. I mean, when we had 9/11 terrorist attacks, when I actually got to see what was happening, and it was happening on live TV, I was crying because I seen people dying. Moms, kids, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, millions of them. And then for Trump to come across TV nowadays and say that he was there, he was nowhere near there. I've watched documentaries, I've read stuff and everything else. Trump was nowhere near there. No. Yeah. He was talking against what a lot of people were doing. Yeah. I think that was a day that a lot of people that were actually old enough to remember probably never will forget, because that was a pretty horrendous day. It didn't matter if you were actually in the city when it was happening or if you were somewhere else in the country, because it wasn't just the Twin Towers, but it was also the Pentagon. And then there was another one that was headed to the White House. But that one got intercepted before it actually reached the White House. But I think that was one day most people in America did end up crying, because everybody was wondering if we were actually going to be going to war under attack that day, because the Twin Towers got hit and then the Pentagon got hit, so everybody was wondering what was next. So I think everybody thought that we were actually going to be going into war that very same day. So I think there was a lot of people that were having mixed emotions at that exact same time. We were all wondering what was going to be going on next, because that's not something that we're used to. They're used to it over there. They're used to bombs flying everywhere and constantly hearing that stuff. But we're not, unless it's on TV. And we're used to hearing it because it happens overseas. And then he was I think the biggest thing I'm not liking about him talking is when he talks about immigrants, he talks about them like they're a bad thing. And every nation in the world has immigrants. There's nothing wrong with it. You have bad people that travel all over the world. And yes, they actually decided there was several 100,000 or billion, a large number of food that was in warehouses that actually got burned and destroyed because it went bad. Instead of feeding it to homeless or something like that, they decided to get rid of it, and that could have fed lots of people. And when the immigration workforce started to come into play, or be talked about, I should say, I was like, even before it was talked about, I was like, you guys do realize that these people come over here and they work for far less than what we do. No benefits, no nothing, because they can't get them because they're immigrants. They come over here on work visas. They pay taxes, but they do not get the benefit of those taxes because they are not U.S. citizens. So that money goes into a surplus for the U.S. to use in case it needs it. So for Trump and his administration, or anybody that agrees with him, to say that immigrants aren't paying anything, yes, they are paying quite a bit. And Americans, even ones that are homeless, I know because I've heard them talk, will sit there and say that they will not do the same thing immigrants do in the farms and the fields, because they will not work for the same pay as the immigrants do. And I'm like, well, then you can't say that you would do, because they all have their own thing. And I'm like, well, if you go to work on a farm, or you keep talking about immigrants taking your job, you go do that immigrant's job. The same exact thing they do, just as long, any conditions, the same exact pay, everything else, working environment, living environment, the whole 9 yards. And then you come back and you tell me if you really want to take their position. No increase in wages, no increase in nothing, because they work from sunup to sundown doing backbreaking work. Yeah, we're a global economy. There shouldn't be a reason for things to go to waste. We should be able to share everything. We got people that are starving all over the country. Instead of them getting rid of that food that went to waste because they deported all the immigrants, they should have sent it overseas. We hear about kids and people starving all the damn time. You're telling me that we couldn't send it to one of those countries where starvation is getting out of hand because of the wars that's going on that Trump claims he solved, but he didn't really solve? I mean, come on, give me a break. Yeah. Yes. There's way more than enough food, because different countries grow different things. And some of those different things cannot be grown in other countries because of the climate in those countries. The climate has been pretty much the same for a while. And because we have global warming, even though he doesn't agree, he doesn't see it, things have been changing. So the food has slowly been either getting smaller or it's been changing because the climate in the area that it's normally grown in has been changing. But there's still more than enough to feed people. I mean, you shouldn't be wasting any of it because somebody can eat it. I mean, I'm pretty sure people overseas in all other countries can see the same countries that we do where they're in a humanitarian crisis to where they're not getting access to food. I mean, you see 14-year-olds looking like 6-year-olds because they're so damn skinny and they end up dying because of the wars that are going on and they're not allowed to eat. I mean, hell, I seen a video the other day of them talking about what was going over, and I think it was Hamas. No, not Hamas. Oh shit, I forgot what the hell country that was, but um, they were sitting there getting food, and this little gate type thing that was in the way of them reaching for it, and you have kids that are really short getting smashed between all the adults and this gate because they're short. They're trying to get to it first. And I'm like, that's kind of brutal. I mean, you're a kid over there, you're starving, and you're having to be smashed between all these adults and this fence or gate or whatever you call it. So you either starve to death or you get killed from the extreme pressure from everybody pushing against you. So if your neck happens to be in the way of all that, you might be a goner. But yeah, I agree with you. There is no reason for anybody in the world to be starving. None. Yeah, luckily for me, I have the day off tomorrow, else I would have been saying goodbye also. But you have a good night. And I'll be trying to do this every Friday or Saturday. So if you want to come back and chat some more next week, by all means, go for it. I'll be here. And you're welcome. But if you happen to come on here and you like to chat about what we're chatting about and you think other people might like what's being said, then please, by all means, share this podcast with people that you know. Yeah, I have a sleepy time tea and I have extra sleepy time tea. So, yeah, I do too. Okay, cool. I'd love to have y'all in chat. Until then, good night. Take care. But yeah, this is just general. Um, because I do have a production company. Um, okay. Nasta night. Okay. I'm going to wait till you uh, help me learn how to say that before I butcher it. I don't like butchering other people's language, so I had to have somebody help me learn how to say something in Igbo because they were from Nigeria. But good night. But because I have a production company called Laffy Taffy Beats, and I'm going to school for filmmaking. I'm actually trying to get back into doing my podcast every week. So if you see this and you want to join, or if you want to share it, Norse Da. Okay. Norse Da. Cool. Norse Da. But yeah, I keep seeing between 1 and 3 people come on here, and I don't know who those other people are. But if you happen to like what's being said, or you think somebody else might be interested in what I'm saying, then by all means share it. I don't do debates very well, so they're trying to get us to they're trying to run ads on people for us to do campaigns over here, and the only thing stopping me is the fact that I don't like debating. So yeah. That's why I let people know before I do the podcast what I'm talking about. That way they can decide if they want to come in for a minute. And that's about the size of it. I mean, but they are having a No Kings debate, a No Kings protest in October. I think it's October 18th. I'm not too sure. I seen it somewhere and I can't remember what it is, where it is, what day it is or what time, but it's supposed to be, I'm pretty sure it's October 18th, but like I said, I'm not completely sure. So it's probably around the same time. But another thing is, if any of you here on YouTube have a Snapchat and you guys know how to share links on Snapchat, please share that information with me. Go step by step because I am slow. So I do this step by step. I put the link on Snapchat or whatever, and then people can come from Snapchat. But I'm on a lot of platforms. I have my main one is Facebook. I watch YouTube mainly to keep up with our dipshit president, and I also watch Jimmy Kimmel. Occasionally chime in and watch Steve Colbert and some of the other late night talk show hosts because they all chew on Trump. They talk about other things too, but I also watch The View on there. And the only reason I watched it is pretty much because Whoopi Goldberg is on there, and I happen to be a fan of hers, mainly from things like Star Trek and Ghost and Sister Act. But yeah, Yeah, I have been from last week to this week. Since the only major topic is what was going on with Trump and the UN this whole week, that's pretty much what I focused on this week was Trump. So, like I said, if any of you guys happen to like this or want to share it with anybody, then please do so. If you want to comment after I get off here, then by all means do so. I check in every once in a while to see if anybody's left any comments. But I think that's all I'm going to do for this one. Let's see what happens to be going on between now and next week. But anyway, till then, peace. See y'all later.